So you want to know what it's like to live in Colorado Springs, and we're getting after it right now. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Clay.
We're the Martin Brothers. We're doing these videos every single week about what it's like to live, work, and play in and around Colorado Springs. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you're notified whenever we drop a new video. And hit us up in the comments. Let us know, if there's a video that you'd like us to do, a topic, and we'll definitely check it out.
Also, if you're thinking about moving to Colorado Springs, drop us in a comment below and say me, okay? But listen, seriously guys, we get calls from people every single day, from people all around the world wanting to move to Colorado Springs, and we're here to help you. So if you're one of those people, give us a call, give us a text, email, or even come knock on our door. We want to help you guys any and every way we can.
So the reason we are living in Colorado Springs is due to my ex-wife. So my ex-wife is from here. I was living in Biloxi, Mississippi at the time. I was in the military. We were getting a divorce. I decided to get out of the military. And at that point in time, we had the freedom to live wherever we wanted to. So with her being from Colorado, we just thought it made sense for us to both move out here separately to raise our daughters, right? At the time, they were young. So Clay was graduating college at the time. I asked him if he wanted to join. And, he thought about it for all of like 5 seconds and was like, yeah, I'm in. So that's what brought us out here. Prior to moving, he and I had never been in the state of Colorado. Like, ever. Ever, right? So, it's still shocking for me to think about that now. So, we know exactly what it's like to relocate to an area, and we know exactly what it's like to relocate to an area without ever having stepped foot in that area. So we feel that, by doing these videos, we're able to kind of shine some light on the area as a whole, but also smaller sections. And we wish that we would have had this as a resource when we were making that move back in 2013. So, both of us, we were living in smaller areas, and we'd never really been to a bigger city. At the time, we thought Colorado Springs was like this huge metro area. And once we got here, we realized that it was not, right? It's still bigger than anything like we'd ever lived in long term. So it was still a change. It was still a bit of a shock to get adjusted to. But, in the grand scheme of things, you're looking at like a county that's around 700,000 people. And then the city itself is, 400 and something thousand. So it's not overly large. We've been here, going on 8 years now, and we really know the area well, right? You can get to that point in a couple of years and feel really comfortable with it. And honestly, like within a couple of years, you'll notice that you start to feel like, oh, it's a small town. You run into people, you meet someone that knows, your friend. You just get that small town vibe, and it doesn't feel as overwhelming as what a larger city might feel like.
I like to say it's the biggest small town I've ever lived in. I actually introduced my barber to my favorite brew tender, and come to find out they were sisters, and I didn't even know it. So, biggest small town I've ever lived in, and we're going to jump into some of our favorite things about Colorado Springs.
So we kind of talked about the population. Colorado Springs has a very big footprint, right? We don't build up because we have these incredible views of the Front Range that will absolutely knock your socks off every time you look up and see them, no matter how long you've lived here, right? So we build out. Very big footprint. We have different areas of town that you'll want to get adjusted with prior to moving here so that you can really get a sense of like what area offers what and where you're going to be most comfortable with. I've said it in other videos, like I absolutely love the Northwest. It's my all-time favorite, but for other people, they really love like East Colorado Springs because it's so brand new and there's so much shopping and retail and restaurants and, you know, stuff like that. So it really depends, but there's a lot to choose from no matter where you're looking in the area. I have kids. Clay does not have children yet, so like schools were really important to us. We were coming from Biloxi, Mississippi, so like no shade or hate on Mississippi, but like the schools are not known to be that great there in the Deep South. So really anything was a plus, you know, for myself and my ex-wife in terms of our girls' education. And we've been, you know, super happy with what they've been offered out here. I now have a daughter in high school and my youngest is in middle school. So they've really like gone through the ranks. My youngest went from kindergarten, now she's in 6th grade, so she experienced, you know, all of her school here in Colorado. We started off in D11, now we're in D20. You know, great experiences with both. You'll notice, like as a parent, when you're doing your research, you have a lot of opportunities here. So most states don't allow you to like move your child around to a different school. In Colorado, it's considered a choice state. So Colorado does allow you to apply and enroll your child in a different school and or school district.
Moving here also, there are a ton of breweries in this town, okay? So he came from Biloxi, Mississippi, where he and his family were living. I came from Lexington, Kentucky, all right? And I went out to the bars to be socialized, and I drank Bud Light and bourbon. I moved here, and there were these breweries everywhere. Uppity beer is what I called them. Expensive beers is what I called them. Yeah. Until I went, I tried, and then I converted from light beer to IPA, ambers, all the good stuff.
Yeah, but what were you drinking first?
Red Leg Amber.
Amber, right?
Amber.
So like something like pretty moderate, and it probably took a couple years for him to really even, like we kept hearing IPA, and we're like, what the hell is that? It took a while to catch on. It really took some time for us both to get to the point where we could even like stomach an IPA, and now like
that's all I drink. Yeah. IPA beer, local breweries, but you can't stumble too far in any direction without stumbling into a local brewery. There are so many different awesome locally owned brewing companies. Some cater to more of a veteran environment. Some is more of an outdoor patio. Some have food trucks. Some actually serve food. I mean, all these breweries are incredible to go visit. Different environment, different flavors in each and every different brewery.
And it's not like a bar, you know. Like there are places that you're gonna enjoy either with friends or that you're gonna take your family to. I used to, when my girls were young, I used to take them all the time to Red Leg Brewing, and like they had root beer for them. They had board games. We would play board games. We'd meet other families. Like it's an all-around great experience for any type of personality. Of course, like if you don't drink, you can still go there and socialize with your friends. Most of them have amazing food trucks, and there's just, I don't know, to me it's one of the neatest things about Colorado Springs, that you have these breweries. And I always joke, like it's like Cheers. You'll get to the point where you're going consistently to like the same one and everybody knows your name, like Cheers, duh.
And if you don't drink beer, like do not shy away from it. There is sodas, all of them serve water. There's kombucha. I mean, there's a lot of different things there. There's not just alcohol. But you can bring your family. You can sit outside. You can sit inside. You can play board games. And it's just a laid-back, enjoyable environment.
Oh, healthy living. Again, so, you know, my experience, I don't know. At one point in time, I was in Coronado, California. That was very active, very outdoorsy, very beautiful, right? And I had come from, you know, the Deep South, so it was shocking to me to see so many people out riding bikes and running and everything. And I'd never really experienced it again until we moved out here, and it was mind-blowing to me, the amount of runners and cyclists, hikers that I would see out and about. And that's something you have to get used to. Like if hiking is not like normal or common, like people do it all the time
It
here.
will become a norm.
It'll become a norm. It's awesome. Like, if I had to do meetings, like if Clay and I were like planning to meet, we'd be like, let's go do a hike and meet, right? You can sit there and talk. You can figure everything out. Tons and tons of trails in the city, you know, in the mountains, just outdoors, literally calling your name at your fingertips. You don't have to look too hard to find opportunities to be active here.
All right, as you've heard, a lot of people are moving to Colorado, and what that means is we get a lot of transplants. I'm sure you've heard it somewhere else before hearing it here, but with transplants come bad drivers, okay? We do have some elements here like snow and rain, and people tend to lock up when they have to drive around in a little bit of snow. Sometimes it's called for, like if you're in a two-wheel drive car on a hill, you might have some problems. But if you're just driving on a flat road and there's a little bit of snow, it really should not call for anybody to panic. But people do, and we deal with the repercussions when we're traveling during bad weather.
Yeah.
What experience have you had, Jacob, with bad drivers?
Just, you know, it takes some time to figure it out. But I mean, you're moving to an area that a lot of people want to live at, so that means that you've got groups from like all over the place, tons of different types of drivers, all on the same road. So obviously there's going to be, you know, some challenges there. It's not terrible. Thankfully, our traffic isn't too terribly bad yet. I guess it depends on who you talk to. If you're talking to someone that's lived here for 40 years, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. No, right? You're just comparing it to what it was like in 1978, right? So yeah, of course it's a little bit worse, but overall, like, I really don't have too much trouble with the traffic at all. Unless you're in a position where you're like commuting to Denver on the daily, then it's going to be a pain in the ass for you.
Mainly because on the way to Denver, there is construction. There has been since 2013 when we moved here, and they've made very, very little progress, it feels like. I think there's always going to be construction between Colorado Springs and Denver. It just does not seem to go away. So if you are planning to make a commute to Denver, plan accordingly. You will run into construction, guaranteed, and most likely on the way there or on the way back, there will be traffic backed up due to some form of accident or another.
It's also interesting, too, I think, to be in an area where people are flocking to. Again, you know, the places that we've lived, it's not like tons and tons of people are deciding to call that home. So that's been an adjustment as well. But it's also really neat because I think it causes the culture in the area to consistently evolve, right? Because you have new like ways of life and thoughts and stuff like that intermingling. So it changes it up. Whereas, you know, other places that maybe aren't as desirable to live, it becomes very stagnant and kind of breeds like a certain way of life, if that makes sense.
All right, guys, last but not least is kid-friendly activities here in Colorado Springs. So when we grew up, outdoor activities were entertaining ourselves out in the streets or in the backyard, playing around, doing whatever, or playing organized sports. There is a certain luxury to living here in Colorado Springs and having the mountain right outside your back door, and that is you can get involved in outdoor activities that are not necessarily organized sports, like hiking, mountain biking, and rock climbing. There's so many activities you can get involved in or your kids can get involved in that just require themselves or a couple buddies and some gear. On top of that, Colorado Springs has a ton of organized sports, club sports, and then extracurricular sports in every single school district. So just living in Colorado Springs gives you an incredible opportunity to get out and enjoy these outdoor activities and lifestyles.
So, for example, like during the summertime, there's a group called Kids on Bikes, and it's a club / like day camp. Kids of all ages, from early elementary school all the way to high school, and you basically pay for your child to be in this camp, and they all set up shop at a park or parks throughout the city. And then they'll do mountain bike rides all throughout the day. They'll practice technique. I see that and I'm like blown away by it because we were just never exposed to anything like that. And I tell my girls, I beat it in their heads and they're sick and tired of hearing it. But I'm like, you guys are so lucky that you get to grow up in Colorado. You get to experience so much. You get to see these breathtaking views every single day. I mean, we're not even like some super active outdoorsy family, but we get to do a lot of cool stuff. Like we mountain bike. We're not great at it, but we do it. We'll go tubing, right? Tubing with our family during the summertime where we just get on inner tubes and we float down a river.
Floating.
Yeah.
You get an inner tube, float down a river, and get picked up down the river.
Yeah, in the mountains, right? There's just so many opportunities for kids here. As a parent, I see it, I witness it, and I wish that I had those opportunities as a kid. I'm just really thankful that my girls are getting to experience it. All right, so that was our take on living in Colorado Springs. We've had a very interesting soon to be 8 years here. It's been some time. I can tell you right now that I'm still incredibly happy that I'm here. Clay is too. It's a good spot. We wouldn't be putting these videos out to you if we didn't think that was the case. So if you want more of these videos, you want to see more of them, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, drop us a line in the comment. Let us know what videos you want us to do in the future, right? We will do them. Let us know, and we'll definitely check them out.
Hey, Jacob and I are both full-time realtors, and we help people from all around the world, just like you, find their next home here in Colorado Springs. So if we can help in any way, give us a call, text, email, or even come knock on our door. We look forward to hearing from you all. Take care. Bye.
Bye.